Hello, how are you? I hope you are all doing well. I am Nour Nahed ALnemnem. Thanks Dr. Rifat Al for giving me the opportunity to present my presentation. Guys, welcome back. Today we were looking at Shakespeare's play, The Comedy of Errors. Let's start. Outline, Introduction, Characters, Background, Location, Summary and discussion for Act 1. The Comedy of Errors is one of his early comedies that explores the idea of identity. Who am I? Especially when everything I have ever known about myself suddenly gets called into question. It's one of his early comedies and also one of the shortest of his comedies. And for a long time, people kind of dismissed it as being just plain farce. So, farce is a style of comedy that is very slapstick, very physical, and very quick. And certainly, Shakespeare is playing with the farcical style. However, he is adding a lot of layers to it that make it much more complex than it appears at first glance. Characters: two brothers. The two brothers of Comedy of Errors. Their names are Antipholus of Ephesus and Antipholus of Syracuse. They are twins. The mother of Comedy of Error. She is the mother of the brothers Robson and Crane. Ephesus, this is where they were born. Ephesus, Greek. It's an ancient Greek city in Asia. Background written between 1592 1594. Its first documented performance was December 28, 1594 at Gray's Inn. May have been performed earlier, one of Shakespeare's earliest plays and his shortest. Location: Syracuse and Ephesus, Greek, and the sea, which represents fortune. Important setting: a combination of the ancient and the modern. Considered full of spirits, spells, and madness. Summary and discussion for Act 1. So, guys, there are two brothers who are twins, identical twins, and they are separated very, very early. And it's a long story. We will get to that in just a minute. There are also a set of twin brothers who are servants to the twin brothers, and after being separated for over 30 years, the two finally come back together, but they come back together in a very comic way. One master and servant of the birds comes into town, and everyone recognizes him. Everyone knows him. He starts walking around and doing things, and the other brother gets blamed for everything that he does. Shakespeare pulling from an old Roman play, which has very similar features. A pair of twins who both show up in the same city and a lot of chaos ensues. So Shakespeare's just copying another story. How is this more complex? There are two big things that Shakespeare does to add richness and complexity to this text. Number one, he layers different styles and source materials. So not only does he use this basic plot of twin brothers who don't know about each other and wander into the same world, but he also doubled the damage by adding twin servants, definitely amplifying the confusion, and on top of this, he overlies a romantic story about a man named Adrian who is tragically separated from his wife and then searches the world for her stumbling into town, where he is condemned to death because of his nationality. Jane's story is partially heartbreaking and partially comic and adds a layer of complexity and depth to the all over story. Shakespeare's original source material about the twin is straight first. There is nothing deep or rich about any of the characters or any of the themes. It laughs at human folly, it laughs at the idea of marriage, and Shakespeare also is interested in the idea of marriage, but he definitely takes it in a more complex way, whereas the original Roman farce mocked the shrewish wife, and at the end put her up for sale. So, this story, guys, explores what makes a marriage, and yeah, it does talk about wives who get on their husband too much, but it also talks about what makes a good relationship between a husband and wife. And it's funny that Shakespeare takes the original story, which was between two cities, Syracuse and Appendman. He shifts into the Ephesus with the reference Appendman several times, but we move to the setting to Ephesus. So why Ephesus? We also have a lot of reference to Corinth as a city where some of the family was taken away. Ephesus and Corinth are of course Roman cities, but they are also cities to which Paul wrote letters, and those letters he talks about the role of marriage. This becomes much more clear when we have a couple of characters who talked a lot about the ideas of marriage and they use the same sort of terms. But they are also cities to which Paul wrote letters, and in those letters he talks about the role of marriage. So, guys, this is the end for Act 1. If you have any question, please write down in the comments. See you soon.